Matt Banchero. What's the name of your company?
Well, it's officially Matthew Banchero's Tree Service, but the website is thetreehuggingtreecutter.com.
Nice. So you hug every tree before you cut it?
We take down the trees that need to be taken down in the suburban wildland interface, and we like to leave the trees that should be left behind.
That's your philosophy.
Yeah, you got to be. I think the way that we need to approach the forest is to look at what we're leaving behind rather than what we're extracting.
Mm-hmm. So. Okay, very good. So how long have you had your company?
Started the company in 2007 and been doing tree work since about 2003.
Okay, and where are you located?
Sebastopol, California, Sonoma County.
All right. Who are your main customers? Who are your clients?
Mostly private landowners. And we do some forestry work, fuel reduction work, and clearing views and things like that. But
on public lands?
Very little on public lands. I've done some work for Native Plant Society and Land Paths and Sonoma Land Trust, and trying to get some jobs with East Bay Regional Park. But probably 90% of the jobs that we're doing are for individual landowners on residential properties.
And what's the typical objective of a residential landowner? What are they looking for?
Well, we do tree pruning and hazardous removals and a lot of big firs, but we also address sudden oak death and fuels reduction projects. So it's usually aesthetics is the primary goal, and safety is also up there.
Mm-hmm. And what about restoration for private landowners, suburban landowners? Are they interested in restoring native biodiversity?
Sometimes, yeah. I'm part of a permaculture group, so I sort of outsource replanting. I don't know if restoration is necessarily the right term because it's not exactly clear what we're restoring back to.
Right.
But at least reducing the risk of catastrophic wildfire is probably a better way to look at it.
Okay. And what's your consideration about soils when you work? How do you think about soils? Is that something that's part of your approach or your work plan?
Definitely, yeah. My big piece of equipment is a relatively small track chipper. It's a 12-inch capacity Vermeer chipper on rubber tracks, and oftentimes we'll leave the chips on site. And if we're working in a backyard, we'll actually chip in front of the chipper and roll on a pad of chips. So a lot of it's about respecting the mycelial mat and trying to prevent soil compaction and soil disturbance.
Great. So you're here a part of this Biochar Burn workshop, and I'm just wondering why you were interested in this.
I got it in my head that I wanted to sell firewood. There's some real inefficiencies currently with managing large woody debris from tree removals and forestry projects. There's a lot of low value stuff out there that's not millable. And it costs significantly more to manage the material than it's worth. And so I have the opinion that if you can turn it into firewood efficiently, it's worth more money than chipping it or hauling it. And then I decided I wanted to do kiln-dried firewood because then it's a premium product and it's sterilized and it's easier to sell. The more I looked into doing kiln-dried wood, I thought I might be able to use burn wood to get the process heat for the kiln, and California emission standards just don't make that a reality. And I started looking into it more and more, and it seemed like biochar having the byproduct of about 50% of the energy of the wood would be a good source for the heat. And Sonoma Biochar Initiative turned out to be right down the street from me, and I got involved with Raymond Baltar and Ray Gallion and Peter Hurst, and we've been talking for 2 years or so.
So the idea is to use the biochar making process, to use the heat that's generated from that to kiln dry some firewood.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Still working on it.
So what do you think about what we're doing out here, making biochar in the woods with these burn piles that were going to be burned anyway?
I think it's great. You know, managing wood and creating value from wood, by and large, is an issue of location. And if you're way out in the sticks, you know, burning it is often the only way to get rid of it, especially where it's not just a fuel load issue, because a lot of times you can lop and scatter and get it down on the ground, so you can change the structure of the stands. If you're dealing with pine beetles and things like that, you can't even leave it on the ground. You do have to consume it or chip it and get it out of there. And if we can clean up the smoke and produce biochar, that seems like a win-win-win all the way around.
So how do you think we did this weekend? We're in the last day here. Do you feel like it's been successful?
I think so. I think the first couple of days we were experimenting a little bit, and today we tried to take everything we learned from the last couple of days and do one big pile, which is doing very well. So we'll see how much char we get out of this thing.
So how would you do this for some of your private clients? Do you think they'd be interested in this, at having you make biochar burn piles?
Honestly, probably not.
Okay.
For because of the equipment that I have and because of how time sensitive it is, it's actually faster for me to chip the material. And it's far more difficult to do burn piles in residential parts of Sonoma County.
Right.
However, agricultural Sonoma County has a different set of rules. And I think this is really going to be great for the vineyard industry and the orchard industry, because they're torching those piles off anyway.
What about some of the parks, you know, that have restoration objectives and fuel load reduction objectives, you know, like the municipal parks? Do you think they might be interested in this?
Sure. Yeah, I went out with Peter Hurst to Willow Creek, and we did a demonstration day out there about a year ago.
That's a municipal park, or?
It is, yeah. And I think it's an excellent tool for them, because again, they don't have the funding or the custom track chipper to do that, and you know, they have grants that are written up to do burn piles.
Right.
And so this is a better way to do, you know, it's a minor modification to an existing technique.
Right.
It doesn't cost anything, and it you know, has stacked functions. It's a win-win-win. I think it's a great idea.
And if you were in an area where you had landowners, you know, suburban landowners who had like 5-acre parcels, who were interested in the biochar and having it, do you think you'd be allowed to do a couple of these kind of conservation burns?
I think I would probably contract with them to make the piles and let them burn them off.
Okay. Why is that? Because of liabilities?
There's some liability issues, and there's a time consideration. You know,
Right.
I have to charge $75 a worker hour, and a lot of the people I work with, you know, want to be out there doing it. They just can't.
Right.
You know, quite swing the chainsaw around.
Right,
or
they
take
can't
the trees
process the wood, but they can stand there and tend the fire.
down, and they love it.
And they love it.
Sure, that's why people live out in Sonoma County in the woods, is
'Cause
they
they can
like
burn
doing that stuff.
Well, that sounds like a really kind of interesting business model proposition. You know, I'll come and build your, you know, move your wood and size it and make the pile for you, and give you instructions on how to manage it and let you burn it.
It's just an idea, but yeah, I could see that happening.
Okay. Well, great. Anything you'd like to add about that you've been thinking that's on your mind about all this and your business? How you might use it in your business?
I'm excited about some of the prospects on the technology that's coming out.
Okay.
For some of the continuous feed machines and utilizing the chips and some of the existing waste streams from the tree industry. I think it's going to be more and more economic and more turnkey in, you know, the next couple of years. And I can see biochar being as big as composting is. I think there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Parallels in places where you can stack functions. I think it's it's only going to become more common. So it's sort of fun to be in on the ground floor of a new industry.
And your part in it is really the supply chain of the feedstock more than utilizing the product in the end.
Yes and no. I have grand visions that are several steps away from where I'm at currently.
Okay.
But yeah, my role with the Sonoma Biochar Initiative is going to be sourcing and processing feedstock, and I've been consulting on the appropriate technology for preparing feedstock.
Right.
Because I like chippers and big toys.
What's your dream toy?
I want some CompTech equipment. The CompTech Crambo is a nifty piece of machinery that has great applications on lots of different things. But yeah, it has a wide spectrum of final outputs and very, very low energy usage. And I'm very turned on by All Power Labs in Berkeley. They're doing portable gasification technology for producing electricity from wood chips. And I would love to be able to run a CompTech Crambo on the electricity generated with the wood chips coming out of the machine. And the numbers that I've gotten penciling it out is it's about 0.5% of the output of the chipper will provide the feedstock to power the chipper. So as long as you have wood coming into a yard, you have a perpetual motion machine, and that's really fun.